Hi Moonies, welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, aka Miss Old School, and I'm here with VIZ Media manga editor Karla Clark. She edits Shonen Jump mangas, and she is, of course, a Sailor Moon fan. Hi Karla, thanks for coming on the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we were talking a little bit. You have a lot of manga on your plate, so can you give me a rundown of all the manga you edit?
Yes, let me do my best. I have 3 simulpub series with Shonen Jump. So that's Mitama Security Spirit Busters, Mashal, Magic and Muscles, and the final one is Undead Unluck. And so those are weekly series. They normally drop on, I'm going to butcher this, it's Sunday. And then I'm also working on some actual in your hand real books. So I'm working on Mujirushi, which is a collaboration with Naoki Urasawa in the Louvre. It is a one-shot. It's going to be gorgeous. It's in our signature line. I'm also working on 2 Shoujo Beat manga series, Snow White with the Red Hair and Daytime Shooting Star. Let's see. And I also do a lot of sort of like digital backlog stuff. So I'm working on digital graphic novels for Annihilation and Yui Kamio Let's Loose at the moment. So expect those to release soon. Actually, Yui Kamio Volume 1 is actually available digitally already. I lose track of time. I have too many books.
There's a lot going on.
So go check those out. If you're fans of those series, you can see the extras that were included in the digital graphic novels.
Yeah. Thank you. And so you're a manga editor. Can you explain a little bit more about what that means? Like, what does your day-to-day life look like?
Yeah, so like manga editing is essentially like being like almost like a production manager to a certain standpoint. Mm-hmm. You're overseeing the entire process of like a manga going from being in Japanese, being translated into a script in English. You're editing the script, you're sending that script to the letterer, you're reviewing the pages that the letterer gives to you, you're reviewing those pages again in multiple forms, back and forth until you sort of get it perfect. And then in between there, you're dealing with other people like copy desk and design. You're trying to work on a logo. You kind of have a hand in everything and a say in literally everything on how the book is presented for an English language market. And so we review it at all stages. All approvals typically go through us until it comes out as a final finished book, in which we hope that there are 100% no errors in. But I spend a fair amount of time, I feel, sort of like planning out like what the book is going to be, and then another fair amount of time editing the script, because I feel like it all starts there. So I do spend quite a bit of time in doing that type of stuff. But also design. Design is fun. It's always fun to look at the product in Japanese and try and think like what elements can we incorporate and how can we make it read well for an American market, for a European market. And so that's always really cool and fun.
Yeah, I remember as I listened to the Shonen Jump podcast a little bit, and I remember you mentioning that can be a little difficult sometimes with comedies to translate. So how do you navigate that?
You know, I lean so heavily on my translators. They're really amazing. But it's difficult. Some series more so than others. Like when you have series who are doing puns, they typically just do not work in English at all. You typically just have to do a full adaptation into something else, or you just kind of have to accept the fact that the meaning is lost, which is really like the sadder outcome. I tend to, I'm kind of like a pool my resources type person. If I find myself up against a wall, I might come up with several options and just start kind of actually making my way through the office. I'm kind of, I can be kind of chatty. And I just kind of run jokes by people sometimes to see if it's like funny or like right. Translate. And then I might explain to them what the original Japanese joke was and why that was funny, and just trying to find a way to navigate that. I think Mitama Security in particular is so bad, but so good for that, because it's just like there's just so many puns. Like, I mean, there's literally a character who like they're making a pun on his name, and it's just like, how do you translate that? This pun doesn't read well in English, and so you just kind of, sometimes you have to finagle things to sort of kind of like make them work. But right. Best case scenario is that it's a joke that is like a cultural joke or something that's like, oh, this is like an in joke in Japan. And so like, what's the equivalent in joke in like America or like an English speaking, like for English speaking audience. And like those are always kind of fun to explore. Like again, Mitama had like a Rise Up, which is like a fitness brand in Japan. And like my coworker was trying to explain to me that they have a commercial where they play this like corny music and people turn in a circle and they start out like unfit. And at the end of the spin, they're fit. And we were trying to think of like a way to like just localize that, because I'm like, well, no one knows what Rise Up is in America. And so the translator and I kind of like landed on like doing kind of like generic gym music as the sound effect, like the doosh, 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 doosh. Right. So we so it's always funny like trying to localize Mitama, because it's like it's coming from so many different angles. There are puns and in jokes, but then he also does jokes that are like really well known. Like he'll make Pokemon jokes and stuff, and so like those are a little easier to navigate. But it's just really funny. Actually, I really love doing humor, because seeing the various ways that humor is expressed in manga is like so fascinating to me, because Mashal is also comedy, but it's completely different from Mitama. It really relies on kind of like understated like humor and like having a character who's kind of deadpan, and it's like Mitama is so animated. And so like it's kind of interesting to like switch brains and have to go to the other brain and be like, okay, well now this is understated humor, and I have to like get into that mindset of like, well, it's funny because of his non-reaction. Whereas Mitama is always about reactions.
I love the little rap too he does. How did you, I guess, pull that together? Because I'm guessing like, you know, through translations, but also has to be funny, but also has to like be like good/corny at the same time.
Yeah, it's just, wow. That's a classic one, actually. The rap battle thing was like, everyone was like, what is this in the office? And I was like, you guys have to read this. This is so funny.
Hilarious.
My translator, Amanda, she's really, really good at this type of stuff. Like, surprisingly good at this stuff. And really, like, she had already kind of come up with, like, a skeleton of, like, of a rap. And, like, I just went and just cleaned it up, like, counting syllables in my head and stuff like that, or, like, looking for it to kind of read a little cleaner. And so that made it really, really, like, if you have a good translator, things become so much easier when it comes down to editing a script, especially in, like, weird things where you're like, oh my gosh, is this rap going to work in English? Like, can it work in English? She goes above and beyond to make sure that, like, I understand what's going on and what's being said, so I can edit it in a way that's still like fun for everyone over here, and that like still has the same effects. Like we still were able to rhyme, and we were still able to kind of like have a beat underneath it. So that type of stuff was really funny. He did another one recently where he made a music video or something. They flashed back to his dark past of like being embarrassing moments and stuff, and there's like another thing where you see a manga that he wrote when he was a kid, and then you also see like this love song that he sent to his crush, and they like watched the music video, and and that also has lyrics. And so that's really like, I love Mitama for corny things like that. Like I just the author just is not afraid to do whatever, and so it's really great to get to work with that type of stuff and be like, yeah, I got to like do lyrics today. Don't get to do it very often.
Right. Rap lyrics. That's fun. Yeah. Yeah, I think reading Mitama, I think was the first time in a while that I laughed so much while reading a manga. And I was just, because it's just so out of the box, but so good.
Yeah, it's so wholesome. I always tell people, I'm like, this is like some good, wholesome comedy right here. Like, you should just take a scoop of this comedy and eat it, because it's delicious and wholesome. It'll warm your heart.
Right. Yeah. So, switching gears, so Viz Media is also the home of Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
How is it like working at the company that like did the official redub and also did the Sailor Moon Crystal, like coming in and being like, I work here?
You know, it's wild, I have to say. Like, when I was a kid and I was into Sailor Moon and manga and all that stuff, like I couldn't visualize like even the process of making that stuff, and like and partially didn't really understand that it was coming from a different country and going through all these processes to be localized. Like it didn't register for me. I couldn't imagine it. It felt so large. And like, you know, it's been almost a year now that I've been at VIZ, and walking in even for my interview, like it felt like so larger than life to just walk in and like see like Naruto on the wall and like a bunch of other stuff. And I was just like,
Right.
this is crazy. I'm actually here interviewing. And then going from like actually getting a job offer and coming here and like just realizing that like my life has come full circle. Like it's like I've gone from, you know, little fangirl to like, oh, now I'm here like making the stuff. And some other little fangirl is going to pick this stuff up and wonder, you know, like, how did this happen? How did this get here? And then, like, it just feels like so cool, like, to be a part of that, to actually be a part of something that was like such a major part of my childhood, and even like, you know, through like to now, like, it's just like I'm a part of this industry and I get to pour my love into like the things that I'm producing and hope that people love it. And it's really unreal. Like I've seen like walking past meetings and I can see Sailor Moon on the screen and I'm like, oh, what are they doing in there?
Right.
And I'm like,
what's going on?
I'm like, oh, this looks like an important meeting about Sailor Moon. And so it's just really surreal, like to work here and like I have Sailor Moon stuff on my desk, and to be like, oh, now I'm a part of this company, and this company puts out a thing that was like such a crucial point of like my nerddom. So yeah, it's just overwhelming. And a lot of like, sometimes I just stop and I'm like, wow, I actually did this. Like,
right. What Sailor Moon stuff do you have on your desk?
You know, I have some keychains, and I have some figurines, and I also have, I'm trying to think, what else do I have? Oh, I have like when I'm on vacation, I have like a Sailor Moon picture that I put up that's like skip me on all the things.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I have that. Some of the Sailor Moon stuff I actually have taken home. Oh, I forgot, I have Sailor V on my desk. I have volume 1 of Sailor V is on my desk, proudly displayed there. So along with a few other things that I really enjoy. So it's been really cool. I was just like, oh, this is so cool. I'm like here. And yeah, I have Sailor Moon bag that I got from working here, and that was really cool too. I'm always looking for the free stuff. Like, there's Sailor Moon free stuff here.
I will be there. Yeah.
Yeah. I have like, and people know to come, like, people have dumped Sailor Moon stuff on my desk because they know that they're like, oh, I think you need this. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And so I just like,
I do need this.
Yeah, so there's a few of us in the office who are like really into Sailor Moon. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So what was your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
It's so funny because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and it's like, when I think of Sailor Moon, especially like the original dub, like I'm just like, I always think about how I used to just like try and like get home as quickly as possible because it aired at like 2:30. It was like ridiculous. And and I had school, and I was like, I need to get home and watch Sailor Moon.
Oh, because you're in California, right?
Yeah, because I was in California.
Right, okay. So I'm like, it didn't come on at 2:30 over here.
Yeah, no, over here we had to run home on minimum days to try and watch it until my dad started recording it for me, actually, because he saw how much like we really liked Sailor Moon.
Nice. On VHS tapes, I'm guessing.
On VHS tape.
Yeah.
Setting the VCR.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so like when I think on it, I think of that. And then there's always like this scene that like always kind of stuck with me. And it's like when they go to fight Queen Beryl, like for the final time, it's like the final showdown with Queen Beryl. And they show up, and like Mama-chan's like all under her spell, and like she heals him, and then Queen Beryl throws a spear, and like, but then he throws a rose, and like, and somehow like, and then she gets more power. Like Queen Beryl's like, okay, I'm going back, I'm getting more power, and you're like, oh my gosh, can they overcome her? Everyone's been defeated. You know, at this point, all the Sailor Scouts have been defeated. It's just Sailor Moon on her own. And she turns into Princess Serenity. And I remember thinking, like, wow, this is like one of the most like kick-ass and beautiful things I've ever seen. Like, just sort of like seeing this character that was so whiny and, you know, like seemed like she felt like she was incompetent, I think, but she actually was more competent than she thought. And to see her really kind of like just embrace her destiny and embrace her power and to do it for the people that she loves. and to like hold the wand and have all the Sailor Scouts appear like behind her, even though they're not really there, but they're giving her the power to go on. And it was like such a girl power moment. Like that stuck with me, and I was really into girl power in the 90s. So I was like, it's that's always like the big moment that I think of when I think of Sailor Moon.
And I think it's funny you said like she had the power. Like I think the song in the background was playing like she's got the power. Like,
I think you're right.
I love that song.
It's such a good moment.
It is. I remember my brother still makes fun of me to this day because I went up to him and I was just like, the next episode of Sailor Moon is called Final Battle. Like she's gonna fight Queen Beryl. Like it's gonna be like, you know. I was just like geeking out, and he's still like bothered me about that. He's like, yeah, you were so hyped. I'm like, it was exciting, and it still is.
Oh no, that was a showstopper. Like me and my sister, we were like, I don't even think we were sitting down. I think we just stood in front of the TV. Like it was a lot. Like it felt larger than life at the time, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it was just epic. Did you have a Sailor Scout / Senshi that you wanted to be?
I wanted to be Sailor Jupiter so bad. She was the one I most related to. When she was first introduced, I was like, this is the character who is me. It's the tomboy. And I'm like, but she, like, the cool thing was, like, I think I kind of embraced her for her tomboyishness, but she also was, like, so much of a lady. And so when I think on it now, I feel like she was, like, such, like, a progressive character. Like, it was, like, she was, like, you can be tough and you can bake cookies. Like,
right. And do both really well.
Yeah, and be like kick-ass at both. And I thought that was like, she was just such a cool character, and she was so beautiful, and she was so down for her friends, and she like had such a big heart. And so she was really like, she was my favorite, and she was the one that I like always wanted to be. And I'm like practicing in the mirror, like I'm gonna actually throw a thunderbolt, but like like she was the one. And that's actually, she's like the biggest statue I have on my desk, which is not that big, but it's bigger than the other Sailor stuff I have, is actually Sailor Jupiter.
Nice. Do you have more Sailor Jupiter stuff?
You know, I need to get more Sailor Jupiter stuff. Yeah. I do have like some small stuff of her, like little tiny like keychain type stuff, but I would like to have, I think, some more Jupiter stuff. But I like all the Scouts now, actually. I mean, I've always liked them all, but like now I really appreciate the differences between them.
Yeah, I think one of the greater things is like how well-rounded they all are. Like you said, like Jupiter cooks and she can fight. And, you know, the rest of the Scouts kind of have that duality to a degree too, up with other things. You mentioned your sister. Did your sister have a Scout? You
know, she liked Mars. My sister is an Aries, and she's always been kind of fiery. And so it makes sense.
That does make sense. There's someone for everybody. There's a Scout for every personality. And then also, I wanted to ask you too, you mentioned like you and a few other VIZ employees have a Sailor Moon fandom going on. Like, do you guys meet up and like geek out together about Sailor Moon?
You know, we haven't done it yet. I feel like I've casually talked to people about Sailor Moon. Like you just kind of breeze by and it's like, oh, is that Sailor Moon stuff on your desk? And they're like, yes. And then you like slowly just realize that like you're next to another person who also was heavily shaped by Sailor Moon. You know, it's funny because we get together and watch things and have discussions sometimes. Like we did Evangelion recently. And like, I think maybe I should like actually suggest that we just sit down and watch Sailor Moon and talk about it.
Totally should. And I would be jealous that I won't be in that room. Yeah. I think that would be awesome. You guys should totally like get together and just do a Sailor Moon gathering.
Yeah, it would be great to hear what people think, actually. Like, I don't know which one we would watch. I guess the VIZ dub. But, I mean, Crystal's also supposedly got a movie coming out, so, you know.
Yeah, later this year.
All go see that together.
Yeah, that would be fun. You mentioned Evangelion. Do you have another favorite anime that you like?
It's hard for me to say, like, oh, this is my favorite anime. Because, like, in different points in my life, I've resonated with different anime. And so, like, when I was very young, well, not super young, but, like, young adultish, like, you know, Elfen Lied was, like, a thing for me for a really long time. And just, like, really dark stuff. I was, like, on a weird emo goth kick or something. Not to say that Elfen Lied's not great. I own it on DVD. People are going to, 10 years from now, people will be like, what is a DVD? Or maybe even now. So, like, I had that. Like, it really kind of resonated. Stuff like Serial Experiments Lane. Like, I was really, like, in my emotions and, like, needing stuff that was also very emotional and deep. Like, Naruto is one that I think people always, like, are like, oh, you put Naruto in that list? But, you know, I was pregnant and I binged watched all of Naruto while I was pregnant. I have like this weird connection to it now. I feel like Naruto is like my son.
Right. That's interesting.
I don't know if it's because
considering Naruto's like backstory, but
yeah, I'm just like, no, you all just love him. Just stop. Like when the village, like it finally accepted him, like I bawled on the couch. I mean, granted, pregnancy hormones, but like I was really like actually in tears. Like people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, it's fine. Like Naruto was finally accepted. It's okay, guys. Like it's gonna work out. People are finally seeing him for him and not the monster." And like,
right.
And he
went on this journey with him.
Yeah, like him becoming Hokage, it felt like a kid going to college. Like it was just like, "Oh, go be great, son. Go into the world and make a difference, make a change." So I have stuff like that, but I think recently, maybe like an anime that I was like really, really into, and I do typically tend to say is my favorite when people ask me, is the Descending Stories Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, which is like it was I don't remember when it came out. I think it came out maybe a couple years ago now. I'm losing track of time. It's fairly recent though, and it's about a guy who, it's a really deep, like it's a josei. I think it's technically josei, actually. I was going to say that it's seinen, but I think actually it's actually technically josei. But it's about a guy who gets released from prison and he meets a Rakugo performer and he becomes his apprentice. And it's kind of about like their intertwining lives and how they affect each other, but also like there's like this backstory of like Rakugo and the history of it and the culture surrounding it and how it's persisted through Japan through generations, and how it's also losing favor. And it's like these people who are holding on to it and still trying to find a way to perform this art and make it relevant for a new audience. It's really good. It's really well done. It's it's got so many themes in there. It's just really good stuff.
Sounds beautiful.
It's a very, very beautiful anime. I always recommend it to people. Not so sure about the manga. I haven't read the manga, but I can't even envision it in manga form after seeing how well they animated, like just the storytelling aspect of the Rakugo performers is like it's just so amazing. And just like, I binged that series and like, I feel like my mouth was agape like the whole series. And it's also just so beautiful. Just a very beautiful story and very heartfelt characters. They feel so real. And so, yeah, I always tell people that they should check that one out.
That sounds great. I am definitely going to check that out. And anyone listening should also check it out.
Yeah, it's streaming on Crunchyroll. At least it was when I watched it.
Okay. That's good to know. It probably still is. Do you have a favorite manga?
For manga, that's also really, really kind of hard. I also kind of like go through the motions with manga, but maybe like a persistent series that I'm always talking to people about are Saikano and Sensual Phrase, which are both series that are now out of print, but VIZ did do them in their original run. And those were the two series that I was really, really like, I don't know, my eyes were just glued to them. I was like, I can't stop reading these. So those are the two that I think I tend to come back to. They're fairly old though, so, and you can't really get them unless you're like gonna bargain shop at a basement dealer or something. But they always have a warm place in my heart for those series.
Do you have a prized manga collection of yours that you own?
Yes. So actually, Saikano is my favorite. That was the first series I actually collected from beginning to end. I was flipping through it yesterday and I was just like, gosh, this is still so good. And I mean, it's only a 7-volume series, so it's not like it was some great feat to collect this. But I don't know. I just always felt so proud of the fact that I like got from like volume 1 to volume 7 and put all of them on a shelf. Like when that series came out, I just typically I'll buy stuff and it's like, oh, I might not finish this series. And that was the one where I was like, no, I have to know how this story ends. And so I really like, that's the one. It's like so nostalgic for me to look at it on the shelf and to like think about like just like how deep that story was. I remembered it for some reason as a shoujo story and then very quickly realized it is seinen. Like there is nothing shoujo about this, except that there's a love story. So that's my most prized collection. I am also I never finished collecting Sensual Phrase, and it is like my guilty pleasure series. And so I have been working to slowly like finish my collection that I started years ago. And so that will also be one that is a prized possession for me when I finally hunt down like these books on Amazon.
Right. And so how is it like to like be a manga fan and then now see your name in the the credits, or I guess the masthead of manga.
Yeah, like it's really surreal, actually. I should have tweeted it, but I didn't.
You still can.
I still could, but that book came out a while ago. I feel like, or maybe not. I'm always like ahead of the public schedule, so like actually maybe not. But it, like the first time I saw my name in print was actually very like it was super surreal, and it was Snow White with the red hair. And I want to say it was volume 3, but it was a shared credit because I had taken over the series from another editor here. So we shared a credit for that volume. But it was so strange to see after like reading manga for so long, flipping through the pages. I'm the weirdo that would like literally read every single page. So I'm like reading like the address to VIZ and stuff on the credits.
Anything you can get your hands on. Like, I need more.
So I'm just like, I just want to know more about this stuff. And so to see it was like, it was so weird for me. I just kind of like stared at the book and I was like, wow, I have a book credit. And like it's actually kind of hard for me to measure my accomplishments until someone else says it to me. So like I might casually be like, oh yeah, so like my name is in the book. And then people will be like, wow, you have a book credit? And I'm just like, oh, I guess it is that.
Right.
I guess that is kind of a big deal. And to see it for volume 5, Snow White volume 5, which was the first volume that I completely did on my own. And so I had that credit on my own, and like to see it come out in print finally, that was like, I was like, wow, I like did this. It's like a nice accomplishment because you're like, wow, I'm a part of this thing that I've always loved. But it's also kind of like internally like a really cool accomplishment of like, wow, I was able to come here like with no experience like in manga production and to like successfully create a product that I am holding in my hand and my name is in it. And like that feels really good too.
You mentioned always being kind of ahead. Does it get hard not to like slip spoilers with your friends who like maybe aren't caught up or obviously haven't read like a chapter that hasn't come out yet?
Yeah, that's so funny. So, like, my friends don't read manga. Like, that's just, here we are, funny story.
Short and sweet.
But my husband does. And
nice.
He likes Mashal. So he reads Mashal. And, like, it sometimes takes my whole soul to, like, not, like, talk about the chapter that I am working on at that moment. Because I have to, like, constantly remind myself. Or I'm like, what day is it? And I'm like trying to remember. It becomes more of like an interrogation when he asks me questions. Because then I'm like, oh, what day is it? I'm like, oh, what happened in the last chapter that you read? And he'll he had to describe it to me. And I'll be like, oh, you're there? And I'll be like, okay, no, you haven't read the latest chapter. There's another one to go read. Or I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, you are caught up. I can't talk to you anymore. So it's a little hard. But like around the office, I'm really bad at this. Because everyone works here. I will just talk about stuff that I am working on, hasn't come out yet, whatever. And so I am constantly like, I am the person who, if you work at VIZ, I will probably spoil my series for you.
Oh my God. That's good to know.
Because I just walk around talking about it. I'm like, can you believe that this happened and blah, 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 blah. And I get the blank stares and I'm like, oh, you haven't read that yet because it hasn't come out. I'm literally working on it right now.
Yeah. I have to do my job for it to come out. I forgot. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm kind of bad at the office. But luckily, like, I don't have... Well, okay, that's a lie. I do have friends who read manga, but I don't see them frequently enough for it to be too much of an issue. So typically, they're asking me about volumes, which is, like, kind of nice. But in the office where we're like consumed by the weekly series, it's a problem. People should just avoid me, actually.
So I saw you're from the Bay. I need to know, who is your favorite rapper?
So I don't have a favorite rapper. Oh my God,
okay.
I know, right? But however,
just sense the disappointment. It's okay.
I'm so sorry. It's really hard actually because like being from the Bay and being surrounded and like growing up in the hyphy movement and like all of that was like, I don't know. It's like, it feels like, I guess because it feels like a movement that I can't, it's really hard for me to declare like one person that I'm just like, yeah, that's the person. You know, like there have been people I've liked over the years. Like I've liked the team and I've liked basically everything that came out during the hyphy movement. So like E40 and Keep the Sneak and like just everyone, it's just the whole Bay was just on fire at that time. And it was just great. And like, but you know, it's really cool to see is sort of like the Sweeties and the Kamayas coming out now. Like I'm just so excited for like the state of like female rap right now. And like, I'm so excited that we have people like that are from the Bay, they're out there repping and like, it's cool. Like I've listened to some Kamaya and I'm like, you know what? yeah, like the Bay sound never dies. Like that's kind of
Right.
it's like this is like it's such a staple. Like you can hear it in music. You're like, oh, that person must be from the Bay, or like they're influenced from people by the Bay. And so I don't think an outright favorite. Although if you ask my husband, he would say it's the team.
He would say yours is the team?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's probably right.
So he's like, you really like the team. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. But like also like all these other songs. And so it's hard. It's really hard. There's so much talent out here.
There is a lot of talent. And Saweetie's also a Sailor Moon fan.
Is she? Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see like also like these anime fans like as rappers. Like I love it, the duality. Like yes,
right, yeah, it's the same duality. Like I can be a dope rapper and be like a super nerd.
Exactly, and you know what? Sailor Moon probably gave her that power.
Right? Exactly. Like like Sailor Jupiter can cook and fight. Maybe I too can rap and be a nerd. I completely agree. That is definitely what happened. It's canon now. I don't care.
Yeah. But, I do have a favorite song. I do.
Okay. Yeah.
And my favorite bass song, which I did tweet about recently, because somebody had the audacity to say that the Been Around the World remix is the best remix of all time. And I was like, have you not heard the I Got 5 on It remix? Because let me tell you.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I feel very strongly about it. It's one of the earliest songs that I remember. It is a song that no matter like what anyone is doing, like you are just instantly like, if you're from Oakland especially, like you're going to be like, oh yeah, I got 5 on it. Like the Oakland smoking thing has stayed with my life. I just love that song. I have always loved it. And it is one of the best remixes of all time. And I'm tired of people sleeping on it. Jordan Peele put it in a whole movie. And everyone is still like, oh no, maybe the Been Around the World remix. No.
Yep, I got 5 on it. Yeah, no, it's certified classic for sure.
Like just all the rap royalty at that time is on it. It's amazing.
That's a great pick. Thank you. I almost didn't want to ask. I was like, all right, no favorite rapper, maybe no favorite song. I feel like that can be even harder to pick a favorite song sometimes.
It can be hard, and like it's weird to like boil it down to one. But when I think of the one that like had the most influence and like that I always like feel like is like so Bay with it and so Oakland with it, I always come back to the I Got 5 on It remix.
That makes sense. What else are you a super fan of?
Well, let's see. I like things a lot, which is like I just realized that was an awkward sentence, but like
I got it though.
But like when I like things,
I do like things a lot.
Yeah, like when I like things, I like really like them. It's not like, oh, she kind of likes that thing. It's like, oh, she really likes that thing. And so I think like maybe I would say like, I mean, probably like around the office, people know me as like the Asuka fan, like from Evangelion, mostly because I've come to her defense in many debates around the office about like how everyone is like just basically wrong and Asuka is amazing. So when I went to Japan, I came back with I visited like 2? I kept accidentally walking into Ava stores without trying and then realized there's only like 3 in Japan, and I think I went to all 3.
You like did a hat trick and didn't even realize it.
And I was like, oh wow, I did it. And I came back with all this Asuka stuff, just mostly because 1, I love Asuka, and 2, to troll everyone else in the office who hated on her. And so
it's like, here's this gigantic poster I'm gonna put in the middle of the room.
Yeah, so like my desk actually has like, I have a lot of Sailor Moon stuff on my desk, but I also have a lot of Asuka stuff on my desk.
That's great.
So I'm a fan of her. And I've also I've always been a fan of Harley Quinn. I named my daughter Harley. Like I said, when I really like stuff, I like it. And so like that's always been like a fandom for me. And like Lara Croft. I mean, really, like I think because I grew up in the 90s and like I was telling someone this the other day. I was like, we had Sailor Moon come out. We had Tomb Raider come out. We had like the Spice Girls came out, and it just felt like girl power was everywhere. And so like, I think I've carried that with me, where it's just like I just really love like the multitude of like female characters that are out there, and like I love that it's like continuing to grow, and it's like so cool to see it like the seeds of like girl power become like these blossoms of like awesomeness across so many different fandoms. Like we have Captain Marvel, we're getting like the live action Mulan, we're getting like all this like cool stuff, like these female led projects, like hopefully more female directors, and it's just really like I feel like my fandoms have always kind of skewed to like, is there a strong female lead here?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and Birds of Prey 2 just came out as well.
I know. I need to get to a theater and watch it. So like the perils of parenthood is like trying to find time to get to an actual movie theater. But I will. Before it exits theaters, I will see Birds of Prey.
Speaking of girl power, I do feel like that era, like 90s, early 2000s, were really like heavy on it. Do you miss anything else from the 90s and the early 2000s?
Yeah. You know what I miss? I miss mixtapes. That's what I mean. Like homemade mixtapes. I remember like just sitting in my room with like these blank tapes, and like somebody's gonna be listening to this and like, what are they talking about? These blank tapes, and sitting next to the radio because there was no Spotify, and like waiting on like a song to come on. Like, and don't let it be like a themed mixtape where you're like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of love songs, because now you're listening to the radio all day nonstop. But like, and like just hoping like that you can catch a song, that they don't cut it off early, that the DJ doesn't start talking over the mix at the end, even though like the song's not over. And like, just like putting together like these really crude mixtapes. And also just receiving them. Like that was also like, you could tell that someone really like cared about you if they made you a mixtape or even a mixed CD. Because like, that wasn't easy either. Like LimeWire was not a cakewalk.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the right song in the first place, if it was labeled correctly. Yeah, that too.
So like, I feel like it was always like, it used to be so hard to like put music together and to like be like, oh, what is the perfect like thing that expresses like what I'm trying to do on this like CD? And then like, you have to think about space constraints where you're like, this CD can only hold so many songs.
That's true.
Yeah. Like it's like now 12, we can 13. Make infinite playlists on Spotify. Like I make playlists and it's just like, I have a playlist. I swear, I feel like it has over 100 songs on it.
I've seen playlists like that. And I'm just like, I don't have enough time to listen to all of this.
Yeah. And it's like, sitting. It's so strange now to see that. And it's like, it's cool. Like, yeah, obviously cool. Like we have legal means to stream music, but I kind of miss like the craftiness that you kind of needed to put together like your own little mix. And it was just kind of cool because sometimes, somebody else might want the mix that you made. And then you're like giving them a mix too. And it's just felt very like, I don't know, some ways it was kind of like a bonding experience, I guess, between people. And you also learned a lot about your friends' musical tastes that way too.
Sure. Yeah. I still have my mixed cassette tapes.
I do
I have like
too.
3 of them. Yeah.
I have them on my shelf, and sometimes I just look longingly at them. I don't have a tape player anymore, so I'm just staring at them like, wow, I wish I could play this tape.
They have the converters now, but that's like time and money.
I know. It's so like I used to have a converter in my old car, but I don't have that car anymore. So now I just I don't know. I don't get to listen to those things anymore. So it's a little sad. It's like a bygone era. I'll have to explain this to my kid one day. She can be like, why would you guys spend all day listening to the radio when you could just drag and click?
It was all we had. Yeah. No, I totally get it. Also, like, I don't know if it's the same for you. With those tapes, like, I still remember certain songs, like, being mixed a certain way just because that's how the DJ mixed it. So I'm just like, this song comes after this song because that's how, like, I recorded it and listened to it a million times, like, in 2004 or whatever.
Yeah, that was totally a thing. And now it's just the song.
Yeah.
It's so much more efficient, but, like, also just a little more soulless.
Yeah. Much like many things.
Yes.
And so back to you a little bit more. If someone wants to become a manga editor, what advice would you give them?
Oh, this is so weird because like I took the most unconventional path, and I didn't think I would land here, to be honest. It's sort of like a strange like thing that happened. Well, happy that it happened, but it was very strange. Let's see, if you want to be a manga editor, I don't know. For me, it has really helped to work as an editor out in other mediums. So I was doing more journalism stuff and editing stuff in a journalism, so articles, still steeped in pop culture and stuff. But I think it's really important to have editing skills because even though we have a copy desk here, you still want to be able to like edit for style, for like the tone of the series. Like there has to be consistencies, and I think it's really important to kind of hone that skill. And maybe even like taking some writing classes or just like writing on your own if like that's not a feasible thing because, classes cost money. But I feel like all the creative writing that I've done throughout my life has really helped me with dialogue in particular. And you, as you know, like manga is a lot of dialogue. It's, it's not a book. In the sense of like, these are just words with no pictures. Like, they are pictures, and like most of the things are dialogue balloons. And so like listening to dialogue, writing dialogue, like I'm constantly listening to how people talk around me. It's something that was honed in me from writing teachers from back in the day. And like, everything informs like my experience. I feel like every experience that you have you can find a way to bring it with you, like to the next place that you end up at. And you'll be surprised. Like even just living a full life might help you relate to a character better so that you can better express like how they would talk. So yeah, I think maybe those types of things as far as like prep work, as far as like actually getting into the industry, this is like such a fluke because VIZ never hires. That I was even hired into this. People keep this job forever. And so yeah, like, I mean, we do an editorial internship here, and I think it's a really great way because it's almost impossible to get training like specifically on how to produce a manga. Like I trained on the job and just basically interviewed saying that I could learn, and I knew I could learn. But I think if you're an editorial intern, I think you get a nice pathway. It is a paid internship, and like you get to be exposed to manga, and you get to learn so much about the process of like how we create manga from start to finish. And that's probably a really good skill to have, to be able to like slide into like an editor position in the off chance that one does open up.
And just like Sailor Moon had the Sailor Moon says phrase at the end of every episode, what would your phrase be? Like Karla says...
This is like so bad because I'm like terrible at this type of stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Like part of me wants to just say like Karla says, wash your hands, please. Like, please, God, just wash your hands. But maybe a more heartfelt and true thing for Sailor Moon is that like, I don't know. I think like something to say that at least when I was younger, I think understanding that you are enough. Like, yeah, you might feel like you're falling short in some ways, or you're not meeting people's expectations, or maybe like you're comparing yourself to other people. And it's just like, you know what? Like Sailor Karla says, just know that you are enough and that things will happen when they're supposed to happen for you, and to not worry about what other people are up to.
That was perfect. Both of them.
But wash your hands.
Above all else. Be yourself with washed hands.
Yes. But with clean hands.
I completely agree. Thank you so much again for being on the show. This was so much fun.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I was like, oh my God, people know who I am. I felt a little nervous, actually.
Yeah, I've been Googling. I've been finding things out.
You've been doing your research, so yeah, kudos to you.
Thanks, yeah. And then, so where can people find you where do you want to be found?
Oh, wow. Okay, so don't find me. No, seriously.
Right.
But you can find me on Twitter. Gosh, what is my handle? My handle is like decaf pixel cat. It might just be decaf pixel cat, one word, or it's decaf _pixel _cat. Oh, and I always spell cat with a K because my name starts with a K. So yeah, you can find me there, or you can search my display name, which is at the moment Battle Angel Carlita, because, you know, Battle Angel Alita. You can find me there, and that's really probably the best place to find me. I'm on Twitter more than I am anywhere else. Maybe you'll see me at a con one day, but who knows about that?
Yeah, if any of them are still going on.
Yeah, if they're not all canceled, maybe you'll see me at a con. But otherwise, Twitter is really the best way to find me.
And it's just decaf _pixel _cat with a K.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's what it is as I open up Twitter to double check.
I just opened it.
Oh, yep.
Just to make sure.
It is that. That is exactly what it is.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so
awesome.
Find me there.
Yeah. And I am Victoria, aka Miss Old School with a K. And you can also find the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_club on Instagram. Thanks for listening, Moonies.
Yay, thanks for coming and listening.
Yeah.